All right, I'm going to go ahead and start projecting, so watch out for that coming through. Weird, I didn't hear the sound. Let's try that one more time. Okay, there we go. So as I mentioned, I'm just going to make a quick section here, and then what I'm going to do is undo everything and go through the whole thing step by step. Again, not taking quite as much time because it is a review, but at any point if you have questions or need me to slow down, let me know. So coming to section 1, I'm going to do it in the actual section. I've got my floor here at 0, and then we put our roof starting at 11.5 feet, and then I have a 12, I guess I did a 10-inch roof. That should have been 12. I'll fix that. And then I've got a parapet that's 4'2". The other thing that I should also mention that's not shown here, I'm going to do this with the reference plane, is that I also wanted to take into consideration that there is, I erased my drawing, so I can't remember if I did 1 or 2 feet of ceiling plenum. Was it 1.5? Okay, so here's the 1.5, and then got my roof there, and what I'm going to do real quick is edit my roof type, because that should be 16. Let me go take a look at that. Yep, it says 1'6", but it's also saying 10. That's so strange. Let me play with this real quick. I don't think that should change anything, but I'm just curious. Okay, so let me go through and redo my dimensions real quick. Okay, so these are the dimensions that we'll work with. Okay, so for this particular project, we are going to put the bottom, or our ceilings, at 9 feet 6 inches. Not all of them, but most of them at 9 feet 6. We'll have 2 feet of plenum, 18-inch structure, and then 3.5 feet here to serve as our handrail. So those are the dimensions I'm going to use just for this example. They may have been slightly different on Tuesday, but this is what I'll use to drive. And in fact,
have that line, that dotted line.
the reference plane, that's okay. This one right here, yeah, that's just a reference plane for me before I get the before I get this started. So I just wanted to keep this here, and what I'll do, I'm going to do a little snip of it so that I can come back to it and show you guys what we're working with. That way you guys will have these notes at home instead of just on the board. So that's what we'll work with right now. And actually, one other dimension I'm going to put in, since we don't have this dimension right here, I'll just do it right here to the bottom of that joist right there. Whoops. Heather, does that help a little bit? Because then you'll at least have this one right here. We can add this one later. So let me take one more snip. Okay, so I'll keep pulling this up just so we see what our dimensions are. I'll scooch it over to the side for now. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to my main level, and before I start working, I'm going to undo some stuff. So I'm going to go to my roof plan, and right now I can't see my roof. Can you guys tell me 2 different ways, or maybe even more than 2 different ways, that I can select my roof from this view? Yeah. Yep, so I can hover and I can hit tab and it starts going through and eventually it finds my roof and I can hit delete. And then the other thing that I did in the last class is I had the 3D view open too. And let me do Control Z. That also allows you to go into the 3D view, select the roof, and then I can come back to my roof plan and keep working on it. But you can select things in different views and then return to a different view. Does that make sense? I think in the last class I gave this example with the floor, not the roof, but they're just, since they're both planes, they work similarly. Okay, so I'll delete the roof to get started. And then the other thing, excuse me, that I'm gonna do is when I started class last week, let me actually go to an elevation view. I didn't have all of these different views. I just had the roof level. So I'm actually going to delete the parapet, and I'm even going to delete the laundry and bath ceiling for now. Okay? So I've deleted the level that these used to go up to. So now when I click on them, do you see how they've been unconnected? Because that level is gone. Do you guys remember a way that I can quickly select these walls and take them back to my roof level? What was our little cheer? Catherine, do you remember?
Hover, tab, click.
Good, yep, so I hover over one wall, I tab, and it gets a good majority of them, but not all. So I clicked to select them, now they're blue. Do you guys remember what key I can hit to add walls? Good, so right now I'm hitting Control. On my screen I can see a plus, but you may not. And I'm just going to keep holding Control until I get all of these walls right here. So right now if I look at my properties, my top constraint on all of those walls are unconnected. If you do that, you might see nothing. It might be blank. And sometimes it's blank if your properties for those walls have more than one property. Like if one of them was unconnected and one of them was still connected to the roof, it just wouldn't show anything, so it wouldn't contradict itself. Does that make sense why it would be blank sometimes? Okay, so I'm going to take it from unconnected, I'm going to put it back to the roof, and so now it's connected to that 11.6, and just to test it, if I change this and change it to 13 feet, my walls automatically go up with it. So now I know that my model is functioning properly. The other thing that I wanted to point out while I'm here is that when you select a wall, not only can you change the top constraint, but you also can change the type of wall it is. You can also change the location line and also the base constraint. You might have a wall that starts on the second level, like if it's an overhang wall or like something that is creating like a balcony, or it might go down to the basement. So you can change those, all of those options here in the properties. Again, just like before, you can do more than one wall at a time by doing hover, tab, click, and then you can add to the selection by holding what key down? I can't remember what it was. It's either, let me see, it's one of those things I do automatically, so I have to, yep, Control. Thanks, Brooke. I was like, was it Control or Shift? Okay, thank you. Yep, Control. So now I think if I come back to my main level, now my model is basically where it was last week before we started. Now I am wondering, do you guys want to, you have two options here that I'll let you guys kind of decide. Do you guys want to open up your modern 2-bedroom and start working on that, and we can just pretend that mine is the modern 2-bedroom? Or the other thing you guys can do just to practice editing walls, do you guys mind going through and doing the same thing on the tiny house, and I'll walk you through it? Yeah? Okay, let's do the tiny house. We will still have lab time for you guys to work on that modern 2-bedroom. So, did everybody have a chance to open up their tiny house? Okay. All right. So with that, let's start by going to the roof plan. Excuse me. Let me do this real quick. Give me one sec. I'm going to see if I can reopen the tiny house. Woohoo, I didn't hit Control Save, so I'm right back where you guys are. So let's go to our roof plan. And the first thing,
Can I ask one question?
absolutely, you can ask questions at any time.
Why, maybe this is a dumb question.
No.
Why do you have to create a section to edit your levels? How come you can't just do that like in an elevation?
Oh.
You do the same thing in an elevation.
Kind of. Let me show you why. Brooke, do you mind shutting the door for us? So the reason why I did it in section, let me just show you the difference. So in the section, I can see the floor. I can see where the bottom of the roof structure is. I can see where the top of the roof structure is. But in elevation, do you see how, especially right now, I just see the top, or the top and the bottom? So by cutting through the building, I get to see more of the structure, so I can actually see where the levels are.
Okay, does it matter where you cut it? I mean, because you cut it in one specific spot and told us to cut it.
Yep, the only reason why I did it there is so really what it is that if I cut it here, right, and I told you guys to go through the kitchen window, if somebody else didn't go through the kitchen window, maybe they wouldn't see those two walls. And what would happen is they would stop listening to me and they would wonder, why don't I see those two walls? Where's that window? And then 10 minutes later, they'd be like, wait, I lost you. So really, that was just me trying to get your screen to look like my screen. That was it. But you can really cut them anywhere as long as you're cutting through what you want to see. And luckily for us, not even really luckily, we are just trying to work with the floor and the ceiling and the roof. So we could essentially cut it anywhere. Yeah, you could look at it the other way too. Yep, I like the voguing you're doing. Now, the other thing that will matter later today, when we start putting in our ceilings, remember how I said that the laundry and the bathrooms are going to be lower? That will matter, because if we took our section and moved it back here to the hallway, that doesn't show us anything. So if I go back to section 1, see how that hallway doesn't help me see where like the laundry and the bathroom ceilings are? So in this instance, in that particular instance, it would matter.
You want to cut through the bathroom.
Yeah. But for now, I'm going to undo that. I just hit Control Z, it went back to the old view. I'm really just worried about the roof and the floor relationship, and eventually the parapet.
Okay, and you can make as many section views as you want.
Yes, they're free, as many as you want. The only thing that I ask is when you turn in your plans, see how mine is placed on a sheet right now? If you have one that isn't placed on a sheet, oh, you know what, and we haven't gone over that yet. I'll go over that a little bit later. I'm going to put that as a side note. If we get to it, I'll get to it today, but it's actually next week's lecture. But I'll show you how you can turn these off without deleting them. Okay? Yeah.
So yours says it's on a sheet and mine is blank. How did you put it on a sheet?
So same as any other view. So if I go to my browser, here's section 1, right? Pretend that's a floor plan. How did you get your floor plan? Yep, just a drag and drop right onto the sheet. So any view within your browser is really just a drag and drop right onto the sheet. Okay, those are all good questions. All right, so now let's go through kind of trying to clean this up. And let's start by making our screens look similar. So I am actually going to go to my roof plan. I'm going to close out of my main level. I like the 3D view and then our section again. And then let's tile those. Wow, this never happens. I got it first try. Woohoo! So this is where I'll meet you guys. All right, I don't hear as many clicks. Are you guys ready to start undoing? Okay, first thing, let's get rid of our roof. So as Julianne mentioned earlier, you just come and you hover over any of these walls, you don't click, and you start hitting tab, and for me it was 2 tabs before it found it. For you it might be less, it might be more, but you'll see on your cursor it should say roofs, basic roof, and then click. You should see it highlight in your section view and in your 3D view. Now it probably would have been just as easy to come into our section and hit delete, but it was good practice, I thought. Okay, then go ahead and get rid of it. And then before I delete too much, Heather had a great question last week. She was asking why in our section and even in our elevations, why some of these are blue and why some of these are black. So blue, when you guys are online, have you guys noticed if somebody sends you an email or if there's a link to something, it's typically blue? That's what Revit is trying to copy. So that means if I double click on something that's blue, it took me to the roof plan. I know that that was really subtle. Let me do this. So right now, do you see, let me come back here. See how section is highlighted and then these 2 are grayed out? Do you see that?
So if they're blue, they're a link, basically?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I double click on that, it takes me to the roof plan. And when I now look, now roof plan is highlighted, section is gray. If I double click on the section head, see how it took me to the section? So it lets you navigate towards the different plans. It links to them. Now with this laundry and bath ceiling and the parapet, these are just elevation markers. They don't have plans associated with them, plans or views. So that's why they don't have anything. So let's grab these 2 and delete those as well. I'm doing that in my section view. And then after that, let's even try our hover tab click in 3D to get our walls back down to roof height. So go ahead and give it a try. I'm going to come hover over one wall, hover, tab, click. Now in this instance, if you guys look at my screen, see how it got an interior wall that I don't want to select? I am going to go into my floor plan. Oops, I'm going to do that one more time. Oh shoot, it didn't get it. But to deselect something, you hit the shift key. Okay? Not delete it, I'm sorry, to deselect it. So control to add, shift to take away. And eventually, once you get all of your walls, remind me where to go from here. Yeah. Yep. So from here, I want to do top constraint. They're all unconnected, and I want to move it down to roof. And this is interesting. I didn't notice this. Do you see that it says basic wall multiple types selected? I didn't realize that I even had different types of exterior walls. So I will do all of these. We did wood siding on wood stud, right? Okay, I'm going to change all of those to be the same. And then once you get that done, let's give it a test by taking our roof up to 12 feet. Just make sure all of those walls move up with it. And then take it back down to the 11.6.
So you just put in the elevation height there then?
Uh-huh. Yep. So you should be able to first just click on the elevation marker and then one more time to activate the number. So 1, 2 clicks. 1 to activate the number. Everybody got that okay?
I'm still
Okay.
I've got a wall that is not happy.
That's okay. So what you can do, if it's you don't have to grab all of them at once if you find that it's giving you trouble. So if I go back to my 3D view, let's say that when I do like my hover tab click, it only gets those 3. Well then, go ahead and change those 3, and then you can come on the next wall and do hover tab click again. So the hover tab click is just to help you quickly select walls.
But it's doing something inside.
There's 2 walls on top of each other, it looks like.
Yep. So how do we fix that?
Let's do these first. So let's take those to the roof level. There you go. And then go ahead and click to deselect. Yep, and now grab that wall and hit delete for me. Good, there's still a wall there. Now go on the inside and do the same thing. Delete that wall, and let's just see if there's one over there. Okay, you need that one, so hit Control Z. Grab that one, note the one that's still there, and take that down to roof. And then you should be good to go. And the reason why I knew that there was another wall, did you see that graphically it looked like one of them was like shaded in? So that's how you can kind of tell if something's on top of something else. Yeah. Good, it shouldn't. Well, no, never mind. Let me show you how to do that. Okay, so if you need to reference in your floor plan from below, my goodness, excuse me, come over to your properties and we want to look at an underlay. So you're underlaying a plan for reference. So by default, it might say none, but we do want to see our main level here because essentially we need something to sketch on or we'd have no idea what to draw. For those of you guys familiar with AutoCAD, this might be the closest thing to an X reference. There's actually something else closer, but this is kind of like what we're doing right now. Okay, sure. All right, anything else before we jump into levels? Okay, now before we make what I'm going to do something slightly different today because we're going to be talking about ceilings. So last time we made a parapet reference level. Today we're not going to. What we're going to do instead is let's make the laundry and bath reference level, okay? But we will do the parapet a slightly different way. So to make that level, let's go into our section, and there's at least 3 ways to create a new level, right? Can you guys tell me one of them? Which one's my favorite? CS, yep, I always use CS. What's the keyboard shortcut? David, I bet you'd know that one. Do you remember the keyboard shortcut? Yep, LL. Or you can just hit this button right here. Okay. Either one of those. So I'm going to click on roof and do create similar. And I'm just going to drag over. Oh, and I forgot to do something, but I can still redeem it. What should I do before I click and place it? Yeah, I don't want to make a plan out of this, so I don't want to see a plan generating over here. This is just a reference. So I deselect that. And then again, I'm just going to call it L&B, ceiling. And I think, did we have that at 8 feet about? Okay, let's do 8 feet there. And you can check your work if you did the level correctly by looking to see if this is blue or black. How did that work for you guys? Good? All right. Ready to move on to the next thing? So the next thing that we could do now is we could start drawing our roof and then extend the parapet up. Does that sound good? So when we are working on our roof plan, we are creating a boundary. Tell me a couple things that you guys remember about boundaries. What should you try and avoid? Okay, we'll go in a circle. Catherine, I'm going to start with you. So when you're drawing boundaries, tell me some things that you should try to avoid that might make it so that it doesn't create a roof or a floor.
Overextending your lines.
Yeah. Yep, so make sure you don't overextend, right? Julianne, what else? Kind of the opposite of that.
I wasn't paying attention, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Maddie, do you know where we're going next? Oh no, I lost you guys. Okay, I'm going to tell you. David, go ahead.
Set a gap in lines.
Yeah, so just as Catherine said, don't have them overlap. You also need to make sure that they actually connect. So they should look like this, not like this or this. So we have a cheer and now we have like hand signs to go with it, okay? There's another thing too that can trip you up. Do you guys remember what that is? I kind of gave the rubber band analogy. It has to be a continuous loop. What could accidentally happen? They should be, but they don't have to. Remember that crazy shape I drew right in the middle of it? It doesn't even care about that. So you shouldn't have lines on top of each other. So it might say these lines overlap. So sometimes what happens, you'll draw a line and then you'll go to like select a wall and you accidentally select the same wall. So you'll have two lines on top of each other. But if you have two pink lines on top of each other, other than Revit telling you, is that something that you can visually see? Mm-mm. So what would you do at that point? There's something really specific I want you to say. Let it go. Just redraw it. It'll take you another 30 seconds rather than trying to figure out where you went wrong. Okay? So it's important to remember that because roofs, stairs, and floors all get drawn in by boundaries. And there's even other things that use boundaries. I think that if you want to do your own hand railing, you can use boundaries, but there's several things that use boundaries. So let's start with our roof. And with this one, taking a look at my screen and then comparing your screen, because we're drawing a flat roof, what is the first thing that we should take into consideration? The slope, yep. So deselect, define slope. And then from last class, I still have a generic 18-inch roof. Do you guys have a generic 18-inch roof still? Okay. Now this one I want to check because it was being really weird. I have my default structure at 1 foot 6 inches. Do you guys have that as well? Okay. Let's keep it at that. And then from here, I like to use the line tool to draw, but you guys can use any one of them. And let's just go ahead and sketch around that perimeter.
So that's filling in the roof from 11 foot 6 on up to the 13.
Yeah, since I'm on the roof level,
Okay.
11.6, and it should go up 18 inches. We'll see if it's going to be nice. I had to change some things at the beginning of class to make it look right, so we'll see what it does today. Yeah.
So when I do my roof, it goes on the floor.
Make sure, look at what level you're drawing it on. See how right now I'm in roof plan? What plan are you in right now?
First floor.
There you go. Right. Now look at my screen again. What do I need to do in order to actually create a roof? Green check mark. Did the green check mark haunt anybody since Tuesday? Not yet? Okay. It might. Just remember, if you get stuck, this really light blue kind of crest color is trying to help you. Just click on it and look for that green check. You essentially, it won't let you do anything until it knows that you're done drawing. Okay, so here is where my roof is being weird and where your roof is being weird. I can see this too. So right now, here's what I'd like to do. Just measure your roof for me and tell me if it's 10 inches. It probably is. Yeah? Okay.
8.
Yours is 8 inches?
8 last time as well.
Okay. We're going to do some troubleshooting and fix that.
It's
10? Okay. So do this for me. Click on your roof, and Heather, you do the same. There is something in your properties that says fascia depth. Does yours say 10 inches or 8 inches, Heather?
10.
Okay. Go to Edit Type for me. And actually, everybody go to Edit Type. And then, Heather, in here, just take a quick peek. Default thickness, is it 1'6"?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's edit it back down to 1 foot. And then hit OK. Oh, whoops. I should have duplicated that because now I say 18 inches, but it's only a foot. So let me do that the right way. Now let me rename it and make it 12 inches. So this time I am actually renaming it. Oh, but it's already in use. Okay. Cancel that. Sorry.
And it says that there's already one.
Yeah, so cancel it. Select your roof and just grab the generic 12 inches. Interesting. And let me know if that changes anything or if it still is 10 inches.
Mine brought it down to 2 inches now.
Really? Crazy. 10 inches? Okay. All right. So Heather, I will fix yours too. But for everyone else, I think this is what's happening. So do you see right now under the construction it says the fascia depth? So on a roof, essentially when you're looking at the front of a house, there is this part of the roof, master's degree. Let's just say that the house comes up something like that. This right here is called the fascia. So it's essentially the face of the roof, just this little part right here. And right now the fascia depth is being set by Revit to be 10 inches, but the actual roof itself is 12. And since we've done a flat roof, I think what Revit is trying to do is compensate. And so it's taking our roof and squishing it so that we don't have an angled roof for the fascia. Does that make sense? Typically, if you have a sloped roof, you have a whole bunch of roof for that fascia to butt into. We don't have a sloped roof. We have a flat roof coming into it. So what I'd like you guys to do is to match your fascia depth to our 12 inches. So change that to a foot, and the roof should fix itself. Okay? And then Heather, let me come take a peek at yours.
I changed it to a foot as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yep. That looks good. Yep. All right. Okay. So this is kind of a new feature.
I've got a question here.
Go ahead.
How do we get out of this blue screen?
Ah.
It won't let you escape out of it?
It
or-
does. What you have to do you see a green check mark?
Oh, yeah, okay, so the X I don't want was still.
Yep.
It's,
It heard me say, has it come to haunt you? And it was like, I'm going to get somebody. And it just happened to get David. Okay, so far so good, everybody. So something new. If you're doing a flat roof, your roof thickness needs to match what other thickness? The fascia. Again, this is something new. In the previous versions, AutoCAD has automatically compensated for it. So there must be some new modeling feature, or maybe manufacturers complained that their fascia was being shrunk to fit a roof that it actually didn't fit on, and so now they're shrinking the roof to fit a fascia.
So if we had
Whatever.
an 18-inch roof, we would have to have an 18-inch
Fascia.
fascia.
Yeah, and in a flat roof, you actually don't even need a fascia. So, and right now, I'm trying to think. So with the farmhouse style, it's going two ways. People either have a really thick black fascia or none. So it's essentially, there's a few houses in Holiday where it just looks like a brick house with like maybe a 1-inch reveal of the roof because they've hidden the structure behind the brick. So it really changes the design depending on what you want to do. But Revit will do either one. You just have to remember the fascia, so that'll be new. Yep, Maddie?
So when I lost my roof, so when I click on it, I don't have like the outline. How do you get the outline?
So you didn't lose your roof, you don't have an underlay. So go into your properties in that floor plan and come to where it says underlay. And right now your range base is probably none. Got it? Okay. What we're gonna do next? Oh, you guys tell me, what's next? So we fixed our roof. What else needs to be fixed? The parapet, right? Excuse me. Thank you. So I'm going to show you guys a slightly different way to do the parapet, but both ways are right. Let me just ask you, if we were to do it using an elevation, would you guys feel comfortable, 1, creating the elevation level without a plan, 2, grabbing the wall and sending it up? I don't see a lot of reassurance in the crowd. Let's do it that way, and then we're going to undo it and do it the second way. It's review day, so let's do it both ways. So coming here, the first step is to create the parapet level. So everybody zone into what we're doing. I'm going to start calling you guys, sorry. And then Riley, I'm going to start with you if that's okay. So pretend I've never used Revit before. Where would you start?
I would click on the roof line and type CS to copy.
Good. So we're going to do CS. And then before we get too far, David, what would you also do?
LL or?
So we've already done that. We're already starting to make the level. But do I want to make a plan with this, or is it just a reference?
Okay. You don't want the plan, you just uncheck the plan, do you?
Yeah, so I'm going to deselect this because it's just a reference level. And then from here, I'm going to go from left to right. And then Ash, tell me how to edit this. I have this on here.
Click.
Yep.
And then start typing.
So I,
Or click again.
yep, click one more time. Good. So I'm going to call this parapet. And then this is where let's have the snippet tool do the math for us. Oh, Naima, wrong screenshot. So we have it 5 feet up from that point. So let's come up, 16.6. Wow, I eyeballed it, guys. 16.6 is where you want it to be. So Abby, now that I've created this parapet reference level, how do I take walls up to it?
You select whatever walls you're wanting,
Yeah, so I'm going to grab this wall right here, so I selected it.
and then you go to your properties
Good.
under,
I'm dancing for you.
yeah,
Yep, your
sorry,
top
it's in the
constraint.
other one.
That's okay. So top constraint is now parapet. And I can tell that it worked because it shot it straight up.
So you select it in roof plan.
Yeah, you can select it anywhere. I actually selected it in the 3D view. Yep. But in roof plan, your walls are below you, so you can't select them. But I have my 3D view here. We can switch back to a floor plan in just a minute too if you guys want.
So you can select it in floor plan, not roof plan.
Yes. So this is just an underlay of what's below.
So if you select that elevation, then you go select your roof type, or the wall type?
Yeah, so you mean select that wall? So first select the wall, and then in your properties you can tell it where to go. So before it was at roof, the top constraint, and now we're moving it up to the parapet. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Can we select multiple walls? I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to go hover, tab, click. So I got 3. I'll take those 3. and I'll take them up to the parapet. Okay. Now I don't want you guys to do all of the walls because remember we're going to undo this and try it one other way. You can do all of them, you know, it's all good practice, but I just wanted to make sure that you understood that whole process. So now let me ask you guys again. Do you guys feel comfortable creating a new reference level and selecting walls to take up to it? You guys feel okay about that? I think the one important thing to remember, if you're just making a reference level, what should you make sure to select? Or deselect? Yeah, make plan view. Yeah, make sure to turn that off. Heather?
So why is that? Why don't, like the parapet, if we're taking all those walls up,
Mhm.
how come we don't want to make a plan view?
Because you already see the parapets on your roof plan. So I think it would be weird for a contractor to look at a roof plan and then turn the page and then see another parapet plan,
Okay.
because you're basically looking at the same thing. So in a nutshell, it's redundant. So similar to the laundry and bath that we created, you already see the laundry and bath on the floor plan, right? So we don't need another floor plan to just show the laundry and bath. We just need that for a level for our walls to go up to. But all of the other information is on another sheet. But there are times where you do want to create another level. You might be creating a balcony, a second level, maybe even a basement. But for now, we're just using it for reference.
So I didn't get the wall to go up to that.
Okay, let's do it together. So just click a wall. Any wall.
I'll select the wall then, level.
Yeah. So the only way to move it is to select an object and then edit its properties. Do you see now it says top constraint? Sorry?
Okay, wall. Oh, it's level,
Yep, parapet. Or whatever you named it.
okay.
Did that work for you? Abby?
So I'm getting an error when I try to move a wall to the parapet level.
What does it say?
Cannot cut anything. Instances of the wall cannot cut anything.
And you're doing it from your top constraint?
Maybe not.
I think it'll still let you move it up. Maybe what's happening is before, since we already had it up and then we moved it down, it might just be looking for a roof to be cutting through again, but I don't think it should stop you from letting those go up.
I was using the base constraint.
Ah, there you go. Okay, good. You're welcome. Okay. Let's try it the other way as well. And truthfully, I have seen people use it both ways, but I love the control of having the parapet level. So if I want to change the parapet, like for example, let's say that we made our parapet only 3 feet high and we decided to do a roof deck. The city would say 3 feet isn't high enough to be a guardrail. You have to send all of your walls up. So when we have a level, it's really easy to select this level and move everything up, right? That's why we use levels. I have also seen people, and actually I can just show you this on my screen, but do you see how right now our top constraint is the roof? What I've seen other people do, and actually let me grab a wall. Let me use this wall that's in section. I've actually seen people use this top offset feature. Do you guys see the top offset feature? So I can take my top offset 5 feet and see how that also gets me to the parapet level. Now, if you're using the top offset, you wouldn't create a level. That wouldn't make sense because it's not connected to it. But the power in using a level, let me switch my view so you can see this a little bit better. So let me do that one more time. Maybe. Okay, let me back up. So see how my wall's down here? Coming to my properties, do you guys see top offset is set at 0? So top offset means, okay, your wall top is here. How far do you want to offset it from that point? So for me, it's 5 feet or whatever feet it takes to get up to the parapet or wherever you're trying to go, okay? that does the same thing. The thing that this doesn't do is when my parapet changes down, maybe I have a height restriction and I can only go up to 14 feet. If you had created all of your walls to go up to parapet, they all just move down. If you had them all set to offset, now you have to grab everything and move them. So there are...
And it makes it easy to manually adjust it.
I think so. So there are people who argue with me who say it takes more work to make a new level. And I'm like, it took me 15 seconds. And now I get to move it up and down. So I wanted to show you both ways so that as you guys go out into your own practice and maybe join other offices, show them the benefit of using reference levels because it just makes your work far more consistent, I think. Okay? That was really all I wanted to show you with the offset.
So if you get your parapet going all the way around, then you have a stairway going up.
Yeah.
You just make a doorway into it.
You could make a doorway, or you could even cut a hole in the wall if you wanted to. There's ways to cut holes in the geometry.
Okay.
And then you would just show it in elevation that there's an opening there. Yeah. Okay. So do you guys feel good about flat roofs and creating those levels? Are you guys ready to move on to ceilings? Okay. Let me offer you guys this real quick. Before we go to ceilings, do you guys want to work in your modern 2-bedroom for maybe 15 or 20 minutes just to see if you can do it on your own for the assignment that's coming up? You guys want to give that a try? Maybe? Okay. So work until about 1:45. That's when I'll check in. And then at either 1:45 or at 11, we'll start the ceiling lecture. Okay, I just figured you guys have earned some lab time. Why don't you guys work here in class? So if you have questions, I can help you. But my hope is that you can do it all independently and answer your own questions, or even help each other out if questions come up.
So we're still going for 1'6".
Okay. So now if you guys don't mind, meet me back in the main level. And let's actually, when you are in the, what is this called? Sorry. When you're in the residential template, do you see that there is a ceiling plan main level? Let's actually work here. Okay. So I just had to expand my menu and get to the ceiling plan main level. And ceilings are another view where I like to work in at least 2 different views. So sorry, instead of a section, actually no, section would be good. I should reopen that one. So let's take a look at our section, because similar to our floors, when we first put in our floor, at least in the one that we have, we can graphically see it because you can kind of see like a pattern on the floor. But some ceilings won't have any pattern, so it'll be hard to see if you've inserted anything or not. So just for that reason, I'm going to keep my section open, and I've just zoomed into the bathroom area. I think that's where I have my section line. Let me just make sure. Yep, so it's cutting through my bathroom, and then that way if a ceiling goes in, even if I don't notice it on this plan right away, I should be able to verify it in my section. Got it? All right. Everybody good to go? Yeah.
I have a ceiling plan under listed floor plans.
Yep, that's where, oh, you don't have it?
Oh,
Or you,
ceiling plan, okay, main floor?
yeah. Got it?
All right, yeah.
So to start off, before we even go into our bathroom, let's throw in a ceiling in our master bedroom. And it's usually really straightforward. So we've got our ceiling button. And essentially what you do, right now, do you see that it's doing a gypboard ceiling. And do you remember where we talked about the offset height? So it is making a ceiling on our main level 8 feet up from the bottom. Now, why do you guys think I don't like this? What OCD of NYMA kicks in? Does it have an associated level? We're just telling it how high the ceiling is this time. So, you know, it's just something that I have to get used to. But we're gonna go ahead and move that up to 10 feet, right? Because we wanted our ceilings to be 10 feet. And then what ends up happening, if you take your cursor and move it around, do you see how it's highlighting different rooms? Thanks, Brooke. That could potentially have a ceiling. So right now, if I just click into my master bedroom, do you see, whoops, sorry. Do you see that it actually put it in right here? Okay. Let's try one other thing. In our living room, okay, we're gonna do that one more time, but I wanna change the ceiling type. Is it giving you a warning that none of the elements were created in this view? Okay, I'm gonna see how we can work with that. Some of these settings change slightly. And so just to make sure I can see the ceiling, I'm gonna move my properties to the 2x4. ACT stands for acoustic ceiling tiles. It's what we see right here. So the 2x4 ACT, I'll keep it at the 10 feet offset. So it's still giving me the warning that it's not visible. I'll close that. So I do have a ceiling, but I just can't view it from this plan. So let me do one other thing. One moment. Let me go to main level. Okay. Okay, so first let's just verify. We have ceilings, right? Do you guys see that we do have ceilings in our section? Do you see ceilings in your section? Heather?
No, I haven't put it in yet.
Okay, do you want me to show you how to do that again? So if are you in your main level ceiling plan? So ceiling plan, and it kind of looks like a square with, okay? So just click on the ceiling button. And then once you do you see how the rooms highlight in red? Click on, are they not highlighting in red?
No, they are.
Mm-hmm. And then you can just click. So I did a gypboard ceiling and an acoustic tile ceiling. The reason why I did the acoustic tile is that I know that I'll graphically be able to see that if it's working correctly.
Do I need to select all of them?
No, just one. I just did this big living kind of great room area for the acoustic tile one.
That's where I put it in the big bedroom.
Okay, that's fine. Just leave it there for now so we can kind of practice it. And then really we are really trying to get it into the laundry and the bath, right? These are just our practice. So whether you practice it in the living room or the bedroom, both of them work.
Change that view.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing. So I'll walk you guys through that. So let me do it again from the top. So when we are looking at a floor plan, what height does it typically cut at? About 5 feet, right?
I had to change mine to 6, so the little short window would show up. Mine went up to 7 foot on top.
Well, be careful with that because if you go too high, then your windows below the 6 feet height might get
We
lost.
cut all the windows at 7 foot high, head high.
The only ones that wouldn't show up would be the ones in the bedroom that are really short. So it's okay if those don't show up. I don't know if you guys remember, but on our plan, you'll see the window tags, but not the windows. And in fact, let me see, did I do my, yeah.
There if you hovered over them, but
Yeah, so look at my plan. They're like that too. Okay, what I'm gonna do right now, before,
What if you promise that at 6 so you can't draw it?
it might be if it cuts off the other windows. So that's why I said keep it at about 5. And what I'll do right now, I'm gonna check to see what it's set at in the floor plan, and then we'll look at it in the reflected ceiling plan. So this part's really just bonus content for you guys to understand the concept behind it. So in your floor plan, again, this is under view range. So if you click on edit there, if you want to, so this is the main level, not the main level ceiling plan. If I go to edit, and I'm actually going to go to this thing called show. Did you guys see that little button I clicked called show? I think this will help you see it a little bit better. I wish I could make the graphic bigger. But the thing that I want to start with is the cut plane. Do you guys see cut plane right here?
So for main level, what are we clicking on? In the properties?
It is under extents and then view range. Ash?
Do you have to be in the main level in order to do this, or can you be in your ceiling plan level?
Right now, we're not doing anything. I'm just showing you something. But when we reset our ceiling, I am going to go back to the ceiling.
Okay.
Okay? So right now, I will be in the floor plan. Again, this is just kind of bonus content, but we will edit our ceiling in just a minute too. Okay? So with this one, again, I went to extents and then view range. I clicked on edit. And I think, especially if you're first starting off, clicking show I think is helpful, because see how it's showing us a section of a room, right? So do you guys see that this line number 2 is associated with the primary range cut plane? That's what we're just talking about. So that cut plane is where we are cutting the floor plan. So this whole time I've been saying about 4 or 5 feet, it's 4 feet. That's where Revit cuts it. And it means the top is how far it's going to show something. So something that's dashed, anything else that's within view. It's essentially not going to go higher than the 7.5 feet. And then the view depth, meaning how far down does it go, it's going to essentially the associated level, main level. So right here, that's number 3. Okay. That's basically saying it's going to go to 0. It's going to look all the way to the floor. Does that make sense what we're looking at right here, how it's being cut? Okay, so I'm going to hit X just to get out of there. We don't need to change anything. And I'm actually going to close out of my floor plan. I'm back in my ceiling plan now. So Ash, this is where we will change some of the settings. Okay, so now you guys can actually change the settings with me. Now, before you guys do anything, do you see that my acoustic ceiling tile is a little bit thicker than my gypboard? So Heather, in case you don't have an acoustic one or anybody else, click on it and come down to your properties and make it the acoustic tile. Not because we're bad designers and we put commercial stuff in a home, but just so we can graphically see on our plan that we have something. We'll change it back in just a minute. Okay.
And the other one.
Say that one more time.
The women are the same.
Are they both the ACT or are they both the gypboard?
No, they're both the ACT. Are they not supposed to be?
They can be the same. Yeah, that's as long as one of them is, so something shows up on your screen. That's okay.
But they do look different.
Yep.
The ceiling,
Yeah.
the same thing. In the section, they look different.
Really? You might have more than one.
Got 3 lines though.
So I was going to say, you probably drew more than one ceiling.
Oh.
That's the thing. Revit will just let you click and add ceilings. They're free in Revit. They don't care what the contractor's building. You can keep doing it.
What do I hit?
Delete. Yep. There you go.
Now I'm back to the compound ceiling.
Okay, good. So now I have a floor plan that's telling me I have a ceiling. I can see them in the section, but I don't see them here. So tell me again, in my properties, where can I change my view settings? I'm giving you guys a big hint.
Extents and view range.
Yep, extents and view range, and let's click on edit. So right now, the only thing that we really need to worry about is the top and essentially the view depth. okay? Because we're imagining that we're laying down right now. It's a ceiling plan, so we're laying down and looking up. Far more realistic than the hover plane that I always talk about. So it's saying that it's looking at everything from 7.5 feet up. So if it's 7.5 feet up, but it stops at 9, do you see that our ceilings are just too high for this? So the residential template wasn't set up for high ceilings that we're working on, which is kind of sad. It's just assuming that all the residential ceilings will be something at like 8 or 9 feet.
Now, mine says level above roof. I don't know how that got there, but my acoustic ceiling shows up.
Okay, so I wouldn't do level above, because once we start adding stuff onto the roof, then you're going to see stuff on the roof. So change it back to the associated level, main level.
Okay.
And then if we know that our ceiling is at 10 feet, make sure that your top is higher than that. So even if we do 11 feet here, that should cover it. We're just going to go right above it. And then the view depth, again, we're laying down, so our depth is laying down looking up. Does that make sense? So same thing, just match those two numbers. And if you want to do the show, that'll show you where those numbers are coming from.
So 7'6" is above all the windows and doors, so you're not getting any of those on there.
No, so if you want to lower it to see it, you can
don't
change
want
it to 7. And in fact, I'm going to hit apply and see how all of those came up.
Yeah.
Now, to be honest, on a ceiling plan, you shouldn't see
Yeah,
those.
so you don't want them. So
Yeah, so I'm going to keep it back to the 7.6. I'm going to hit apply just to see a preview. And now, do you guys see that I can actually see my ceiling, the acoustic tile one? If you did 2 acoustic tile, you'll see 2 acoustic tile. I did 1 acoustic and 1 plain that I can't see, but there is a ceiling there. Ash, are you okay? I see a furrowed brow.
No, it's
Okay.
good. I just put in a lot more ceiling.
That's all right. So let me ask you guys, when we did the roof and the floor, how did we select them in the floor plan view? Yeah. Yep. So you hover, tab, and then see how I eventually found the ceiling? I think I clicked 3 or 4 times before it found the ceiling. What's an easier way for me to grab it in the main level? Use my other view, right? I've got my section open, so I can just come click in here. Whoops, I'm going to click on it, and it highlights it in the main level too. So that way, if I know that I don't want the acoustic ceiling tile here, I can change this back to my chipboard. Nope, I don't want metal studs. Let's just do the chipboard on furring. So it looks like there's nothing there, because look at the walls right here. See those white walls? Those are chipboard walls. Does that really have any texture to it? Yeah, so it doesn't look like anything's there. There's nothing graphically to represent a chipboard wall, but can you see in section that there is actually something there? Yep, and you'll also see it in your interior elevations once we get there too. So in your project, again, you can decide this project, other projects in the future, you can decide how you want to design your spaces. Do you want it to be open to the structure above so you see the lights and the ductwork hanging? Or do you want to actually have a ceiling to hide that stuff, right? So, I mean, I've even seen in houses where people like to do kind of an open structure to above. It's really up to you. What I'd like to do now, though, we do have these 2 in here at the 10 feet. Will you guys try to add a chipboard ceiling that, I think we said it was 8 feet, right? So put in 8-foot ceilings in the bathroom and the laundry for me on your own, and then I'll walk you guys through it in just a minute. Okay, I'm hearing less clicks. Were you guys able to do that okay? Yeah, was Revit being nice? Will you check your section to make sure your new ceiling is at 8 feet for me? Maybe even just with the dimension. I'm going to catch up with you guys. I'm going to click ceiling.
So if I doubled up on ceilings again, I'm trying to click it, hit delete.
Uh-huh.
Pops up an X on the screen.
X means it doesn't want to let you delete it. Make sure you're in the right view or hit escape. Maybe you're still in a command that it's not done with before you can start deleting. Try that too, and then I'll come take a look if that doesn't fix it.
And then the section view.
Okay, it should let you delete in the section. Let me finish mine. Okay, so in the section, are you able to even highlight it? Like click on it?
Yeah, I click on it.
And
hit
then-
delete, and it pops up an X mark.
What? Let me just come take a look. I don't think I know what the X mark would be. So hit escape. Now try it.
It really likes that.
I don't know why it wouldn't let you get rid of it. Hit escape again. And go to your main level and do the hover tab click there. That's really weird. And you actually have to oh, there you go. Yep. Now hit delete there.
Oh,
Yeah, delete. Click on it to select it first.
sorry, over there.
You have to come closer into the room. There you go. Now click.
And it lets go of it.
One more time. Yeah, click. That's so weird. I think it's very confused. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so I think I just got rid of one of them. Okay. I was just confused. It didn't even know what it was selecting, but I'm gonna change that to a chipboard. So grab it over here. Grab it in the section. Okay. And now, good. And then change it to 8 feet too while I'm here. Weird. Hit Control Z. I think it went up like 80 feet. One more. There we go. Now, kind of again.
It doesn't like to hit backspace.
Why
Oh,
though?
and it just got rid of it.
Yeah, so it's deleting it. So hit Control Z. It's using your backspace to delete it, which doesn't make sense. Click on it one more time. Now change it back. I think you did Control Z twice, so it undid the chipboard.
Hit backspace.
Try it. Okay, it's happy that time. Good. And let's change it back to the furring one. There you go. Your computer's being high maintenance. That's not you. That's your computer. Yeah.
So here,
Uh-huh.
and I'll change the,
Mhm.
it
Oh,
should be,
I know why. So that's, don't change it there. You're in your main level plan.
oh,
You
okay.
want to be in your ceiling plan.
Oh, alright.
So see right here, ceiling plan, main level?
Oh.
There you go.
Okay, thank you.
Everybody okay over here? Maddie, etc. Okay. All right. So now that we've got our ceiling plan, I'm just going to show you guys one other thing. This is mainly for Abby and anybody else who wants to do a ceiling plan or a lighting plan in the future. So there is a tab called Systems. So basically everything that gets hidden in the ceiling is in this tab right here. And all the way down at the far right, do you see where it says Lighting Fixture? You can click on that, and by default, the residential template gives us recess cans and pendant lights. Now, I'm pretty sure if you go to Load Family, there are more lights for you to put in. Some of these are picky, like for instance, I don't know, if you guys have taken the lighting class, does a sconce go on the wall or the ceiling? It goes on a wall, so it won't help us in a reflected ceiling plan, but a pendant light would be fine, a spotlight, troffers, all of these things can go in the ceiling. So you can grab any of these, and similar to our doors and windows, see how there's different sizes and wattages that you can choose from? Okay, then once they're in your model, okay, it doesn't like this ceiling, this probably, it's a downlight, so I'm wondering if it needs a special ceiling for it to go into. Or even, it might even need the ACT system, right? So remember when you were putting in windows and doors, they'd only go into walls? There are certain light fixtures that will only go into ceilings. Like we couldn't just randomly put a light fixture in our floor plan. It needs a ceiling for it to go into. Okay. So Abby, once you get to that part in residential construction, that's how you can start putting together your plan. Okay. So that's how you get your ceilings in, and you can see I have these beautiful fixtures from 1991 in my section now. It's coming back, guys. I don't know, maybe these are cool again and I shouldn't say anything. But you'll see it updated. Not for our model, not yet. For your midterm we will. So I want ceilings. If you want to do light fixtures just for fun, you may, but that's coming later in the semester. We just did some bonus content, so Abby would know how to do it. Yep.
So when you add something into your file,
Mm-hmm.
can you copy it into the other file? you want?
Yeah, so to go from file to file, you have to do Control-C. So to go from file to file, it's Control-C and then Control-V to paste
I
it.
think I tried to do that with the doors and windows.
You can, so with doors and windows, there has to be a wall to host it into, if that makes sense. Like for example, this light fixture, if I were to paste it into a new drawing, I'd have to have a ceiling in order to really insert it. But you can do
It
that.
just doesn't put it into the system.
No.
Place it actually.
Well, you can, again, it just depends on if the wall is there ready for it to be hosted. So for example, let me just do a new file real quick. I'll do an architectural template. The reason why I'm doing architectural is that with architectural templates, we don't have all of these ceilings and light fixtures, right? So I'm just going to throw in some walls. And then coming over here, if I were to grab the light fixture, Control-C, if I were to come here, it's pasted, but it's saying that there's already one in here, okay? If there's a wall type, I can copy this. I know that this doesn't have a basic wall exterior siding. Let me just show you. Oops. See, no siding wall. I should be able to paste it. Let's see if it's gonna let me do it. So now there's that wall. And now I can do match properties to match the rest of them, or hover tab click, because now it exists in here. So it will let you put it in, but it's always going to look for that proper host.
So you just Control-C on the one file and change
Yep.
files and
Control-V, yep, copy paste. And so that Control-C, Control-V works universally.
yeah.
Okay. So for your homework assignment over the weekend, you are basically just emulating this exact same thing in your 2-bedroom. So hopefully you guys got a start on that. We have, the heights and everything over here. And then in addition to that, I want you guys to create some ceilings as well. So we talked about the laundry and the bathroom. And you don't have a sheet for your reflected ceiling plans yet, correct? I think you have a roof, but not a ceiling plan. Let me check. I don't think we've made those yet. And I'm assuming by nobody saying yes, we haven't done one yet, right? Okay, I didn't think so. So I'm gonna add that to your rubric. And what I'll probably do, if you guys need some extra credit, I'll put, I'll give you guys a few points of extra credit if you want to go through and add some lights and put your reflected, and show that on your reflected ceiling plans. Okay. And then
So
next.
we're gonna drag and drop
Mm-hmm.
the bay metal ceiling plan
Yep, on its own sheet.
to the reflected ceiling plan.
Yes. You got it. So that sheet might not exist. So I don't think I recorded this at the end of Tuesday's class. So Heather, that was a great question. So if I'm coming here, okay, there is a first floor reflected ceiling plan, but let's say that there wasn't one, okay? I think, Heather, your question was you didn't have a sheet to put the 3D view on.
Right.
Would you know how to add a new sheet now?
Now we do, because you
Good.
showed us last class.
Let's get it on officially on the recording. How would we do it?
Click on sheets,
'Kay.
all, or right click on it,
Good.
and new sheet.
Heather, you know your sheet, man. Yes. I'm so sorry, but I'm not. Yes, that's how you would do it. And just grab the right size and it'll make it for you. Okay, good. Next week when we come in, we will continue working on the modern casita and the tiny house. So just keep working on those models and bringing them in. I can't remember what we're starting next week. I'll look in just a minute, but I think we're going to get into no, I'm not, I don't know. I'll have to look at our schedule and see. I changed things up a little bit this semester to accommodate the residential design class, so we're going in a little bit different of a pattern. David, did you have a question?